Alabama picks up a quarterback. Is it a sign of desperation for the Crimson Tide? Caleb Calhoun, let's get to that now. It's brought to you by Andy Mason of AndyMasonRealEstate.com. You can absolutely save thousands or tens of thousands of dollars because he's got the best service and the best prices when it comes to real estate in the Knoxville market. He's got over 40 years of experience. He's awesome. AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Caleb, Alabama picks up a Notre Dame quarterback. Is this a sign of desperation? Your thoughts?
Absolutely. And every rival should be laughing at Nick Saban in Alabama right now. This is a hilarious, pathetic sign of desperation for the what should be the greatest dynasty in college football. Let's unpack this, guys. Let's unpack all of this. And I got a column on this on Off the Hook Sports right now if you want to look it up. Alabama just took Notre Dame transfer Tyler Buchner. Now, to the untrained eye, you might say, well, Tommy Rees was Notre Dame's offensive coordinator, and he's now Alabama's offensive coordinator, and Tyler Buchner was just waiting for the transfer portal window to reopen before he could transfer since Tommy Rees went to Alabama after the last transfer portal window closed. Wrong. If that were the case, Tyler Buchner would have transferred the minute the portal window opened on April the 15th. But all the way until last Saturday, he was competing with Sam Hartman, the Wake Forest transfer, for the starting job at Notre Dame. He lost the starting job to Drew Pine when Tommy Rees was there. Drew Pine transfers, and now he can't beat out Sam Hartman for the job. Then he transfers to Alabama to go play for Tommy Rees. He's lost the starting job twice at Notre Dame. Now he's going to Alabama. This is hilarious because this is all due to the fact that one, Jalen Milroe was awful. We saw that last year. They clearly don't believe in Ty Simpson anymore. Ty Simpson was awful in the spring game. Tennessee fans should be thinking they're lucky stars that they didn't get Ty Simpson because they really wanted him a couple of years ago. And now they're getting Tyler Buchner out of desperation. This is nothing but a desperate move for a desperate program. I've been saying it for a while that this will be Alabama's worst team since 2010. I'm revising that. It's going to be Alabama's worst team since Nick Saban's first year at Alabama.
You know I love you. But I actually think it's the exact opposite.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I think Nick Saban's willingness to pull the trigger on something like this when he's not a transfer portal guy, he's old school, man. He wants to bring people up. I think it's a sign that he wants to continue to make runs at championships. I think bringing in a quality quarterback, which I think Buchner is. Now, remember, he missed most of the year last year because he was injured. He was going to be the starter for Notre Dame. I think this is a pickup that is a sign that Nick Saban's in it to win it again. And if he's willing to play the transfer portal game, very selective like he did with Jahmyr Gibbs, and that worked out at running back, this is scary for the rest of the SEC, picking this guy up. I'm telling you, because they had nothing at quarterback from what I've been told in Simpson and Milroe, from my source in Alabama. Nothing. Now they have something. I think it's scary. I think he's playing the game. I'm the exact opposite on that. He's playing the transfer portal game. Nick Saban's playing the transfer portal game, Caleb. That was never going to happen.
Okay. Is Nick Saban trying to make a run at a championship with this move? Yes, because he's always trying to make runs at championships. And I don't think the Alabama dynasty is dead. I've said for a while, they'll be back. It just won't be this year. But no, you're wrong about Tyler Buchner. You're forgetting this. Tyler Buchner has played in 13 games, mostly mop-up duty, but he did play some significant time early this past year. He's got 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions for his career. I'm sorry. He averaged under 8 yards an attempt last year.
But you're talking about Buchner like he's just a throwaway.
He is a throwaway.
I don't think so. I think he wanted to see what happened with Hartman in the spring. It would have been dumb for him to enter the transfer portal and somehow lose his scholarship or go somewhere, and Hartman's a dud, which I didn't think was going to happen. And I thought Tennessee should have considered making a run at. But listen, the Buchner thing, to go out and get him and go against what you naturally believe as a coach, is a sign of a guy that continues to reinvent himself. And you want to say Alabama's slipping and going down this terrible path of mediocrity, and it's going to happen this year. But there's still an awful lot of talented players on that football team, some of which we don't even know their names yet because they come up through the ranks and they develop. And the willingness to go get Buchner tells me that Nick Saban is going to play the game that he doesn't really like nowadays. I think it's the exact opposite. I think this is Nick Saban has 4 or 5 good years left. Travis says it's a sign of desperation. Agrees with you. Rebecca is all over me. What, Dave? Come on. He goes out there and starts, guys. If Nick you guys would have said the same thing to me when I said Nick Saban is going. Don't roll your eyes. When Nick Saban is going to install, everybody said Lane Kiffin was a desperation move to keep up with the pace of play and the evolution of college football. That wasn't a desperation move. Listen, if you want me to bet on somebody, I'm going to bet on Nick Saban's ahead of the game.
Wait. There's a way. First of all, I thought desperation moves always is when someone blatantly violates what they stand for. I don't think Nick Saban, yes, he tried to slow the game down and then went and got Lane Kiffin. But I don't think Nick Saban ever had this principle of, I'm never going to do this. I think this was the style. There was a style he liked. But when Nick Saban got Lane Kiffin, I thought, oh my gosh, Nick Saban's been winning with defense, and now he's going to bring in an offensive genius, and Alabama's going to be even more of a threat. That's what I thought when he got Lane Kiffin. When he got he didn't take Tyler Buchner's not the Lane Kiffin of quarterbacks. Okay, we're not talking about okay, I mean, we're not. Lane Kiffin was a well-established, valued offensive mind when Nick Saban brought him on board. Had coached a Heisman winner in the past. Tyler Buchner has played 13 games, has 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, averaged less than 8 yards an attempt last year. That's who we're talking about here.
JL, I love you too, man. And give Rebecca's write it down, Caleb. Right. You're awful. JL, I love you. But we're talking Alabama in decline. This just in, Alabama probably wins the national title last year if a guy named Kirby Smart goes to South Carolina instead of Georgia. If a guy named Kirby Smart is still an assistant coach at Alabama. If not for Georgia, Alabama definitely has another title, maybe 2. But this is decline. This is bad. No, this is just Kirby Smart staking a claim to some titles. It doesn't mean that Alabama's in decline. It just doesn't.
Look, I'm not saying Alabama. For the record, I'm very clear. They're not in decline. I think Nick Saban's got another run in him, another pretty solid run. This year, though, just this specific year will be a down year for them. This year is going to be like that period in the late 60s before Bear Bryant unveiled the wishbone, but after Joe Namath had gone to the NFL when Alabama was down and everybody thought Bear Bryant was over. And then he comes up with the wishbone in 1970. 69 and 68, Alabama was very mediocre. This is going to be one of those years. They're going to be down. Everybody's going to think Nick Saban. Put it this way.
How long is this run you're talking about? He's older than Methuselah, Caleb.
I think Nick Saban has another 10 years. I think he can coach until he's
no.
I think he can coach into his 80s. Look, first of all, Bobby Bowden coached into his 80s. Joe Paterno coached into his 80s. Joe Paterno obviously was not really coaching in the end. Joe Paterno proved that you can sit in the press box with your foot up and get credit for a win and not even call anything.
Literally.
Yes. I mean, sorry. I had no respect for him when he coached, and then I was right. And I'm still not going to have respect for him 12 years later. But anyways, Nick Saban's not Joe Paterno. Nick Saban is very involved with the program. I see a lot. I see Coach K and Nick Saban in the sense of Coach K could have coached 10 more years if he wanted to. He chose to retire. I don't think Nick Saban is really – I don't think he has any desire to retire. I don't know what he would do if he wasn't coaching. I don't think anything else makes him happy but coaching. So there's another run. This one year, though, is a down year. Book it. At the end of this year, you will see a groundswell of conversations that Alabama and Nick Saban is in decline. He'll prove everybody wrong in 2 years. But after this year – people are going to question a lot about Alabama.
Well, the one thing that strengthens your side of the argument is LSU, once again, somehow is a sleeping giant. It's like LSU goes from national championship team to sleeping giant over the past 40 years. That's basically what they do. They go from national champion to suddenly they can't win a game unless they get the right coach. They've got the right coach. Okay, so LSU could beat Alabama in the West 50-50. I mean, that they could split over the next 4 or 5 years. So I'll give you that. But we're still talking about a program that would have won another national championship in the past 2 years. If that's on decline, put me on the decline train. They've got the incline railway in Chattanooga. I'll be on the decline train. Gonna take a couple of stops, pick up a championship, and you guys can go have fun doing what you're doing, ripping me. Don't count Nick Saban out. This is a smart move, Caleb. It's not desperate.
It's desperation. I'm not counting Nick Saban out, but this is desperation. You know who Alabama is? They're Bill Gates. And this is what I mean by that. Bill Gates was the wealthiest man in America for a long time. But then Elon Musk came up. Then Jeff Bezos came up. Now Bill Gates is still uber wealthy. He ain't the wealthiest dude in America anymore. And I'm just saying Alabama is Bill Gates, which is that they have competition. You're right, LSU. Again, I've told you, Brian Kelly's the first smart coach they've had since Nick Saban himself. I think that they're the most poorly run program, and all because it's just if LSU had any brain cells down there, they'd have 10 national championships the last 20 years.